Hi, it's Papa Doug,
And Grandma Sally.
and we're recording our first YouTube video for our new channel called Let's Get Away From It All. What are you doing? This is not a hostage video. Cut that out! What are you doing?
I'm showing the date. It's April 1st, 2018, and we have been on the road 1 year.
It's our first anniversary.
1
year ago today, we became nomads, wanderers, vagabonds.
Gypsies, tramps, and thieves heard from the people of the town they called us. Sorry.
Anyway, a year ago today, we hit the road and became homeless for all practical
We're
purposes.
not homeless. We have a beautiful home. We take it with us on the road.
I did it on purpose. I knew it would drive her nuts. She hates when I say that. We're not homeless. We take our home everywhere we go. And we decided, Sally had this great idea just a little while ago, that we document our first year. And so, unfortunately, we didn't plan this from the beginning. So we don't have all kinds of great creative media to show you. What we did was go through a whole year's worth of photographs, snapshots we've taken over the last year, and put them together into about a 10-minute slideshow. We apologize from now on, because we want to do this regularly. From now on, we'll do it more frequently, and we'll put a little more thought into our content. Make it a little more interesting, educational, entertaining, and interactive.
For the grandkids.
And hopefully for the grandkids, that we can make it educational, that they'll learn a little bit about all the strange places we go and the things we see.
Hi, Aurora.
And Gabe and Aurora,
and
Freddie.
little Lily in California.
Yeah, so that's who we're doing this for, family and friends. And
You've got to be a friend to be watching this.
so, without further ado, to use a horrible old cliche, let's just do it.
Let's take a trip in a trailer. No need to come back at all. Let's take the powder to Boston for chowder. Let's get away from it all.
On Saturday, April 1st, we hopped in the truck and drove to Ann Arbor for the weekend. We went to church with Ben, Jen, Evan, Freddie, and then turned right around and drove back to Terre Haute.
We picked up the trailer and drove to Deem Lake to say goodbye to my dad.
We spent a couple of days near Mammoth Cave, but only visited the smaller diamond caverns on this trip.
We spent a couple of days in West Tennessee. While we were there, we visited some Civil War sites. And the Memphis Zoo. I love to take zoo pictures.
We spent one night on beautiful Lake Catherine in Arkansas.
Then a week at Lake Tawakoni, east of Dallas, while our grandchildren were there on spring break. Of course, with the kids there, we had to play with the drone. Bye-bye, Gabe.
We had so many spectacular sunsets on the road.
A trip to Lake Conroe included a 3-hour traffic jam on the interstate, but the park itself was worth it.
We took a fascinating tour of Houston's Johnson Space Center.
And we did all the legal stuff to become Texas residents. Then it was time to head back east.
We spent one night on a pretty pond called Millwood Landing.
And a week back at Cherokee Landing, this time with more spring greenery.
We spent one night in the rural mountains of Tennessee.
Then we were in North Carolina, where the park provided an evening of entertainment for us. And we got to visit my brother and his family.
What a Mother's Day treat.
We spent a week on Lake Gaston, but didn't come away with any pictures.
Now, how did that happen?
We were treated to rainbows and beautiful nights in Lynchburg.
Colonial Beach isn't far from Washington, D.C. We could spend hours telling you about that trip.
And of course, we had to visit Mount Vernon.
Gettysburg Farm is an RV park on a real working farm where the guests get to interact with the animals.
Of course, we had to visit the famous battlefield and view the monuments and statues. And get free candy in Chocolate City, USA.
We spent one night on a picturesque lake at Hickory Hollow.
My dad grew up in Jefferson, Ohio, and I was born nearby, so we had to stop and see the town and visit with my aunt and cousins and do some genealogical research.
We had a quick stayover near Jackson, Michigan. Then settled near Stockbridge, Michigan, where a local artist was displaying his wares. I worked a week of VBS with the grandkids, and we celebrated the 4th of July in our park with a huge fireworks display.
We eventually made it all the way to the border. That's Canada on the other side of the river.
We spent one night in northern Indiana with dear friends, but we can't find any pictures.
Batesville provided beautiful scenery and some colorful neighbors. We went back to Mammoth Cave, and I took the lantern tour in the dark. They did light up a waterfall for us.
We were on our way back to Breckenridge Lake when Big Blue died on us. Truck guts everywhere, so we replaced it. Now that's a truck.
And we had a fabulous meal at a great state park.
We had planned a whole year to be in South Carolina for the total solar eclipse.
I set up my telescope and my computer, and I got some interesting close-ups of the moon swallowing the sun.
And when you're in the Carolinas, you've got to visit the Biltmore. The mansion and the gardens were stunning.
We spent 2 nights near the famous Talladega Speedway. It's called Creekside because it's beside a creek. A local history museum has a tribute to Jim Neighbors, a hometown boy.
Meridian, Mississippi has a beautiful city park.
And then we hit Louisiana. Watch out for the gators. And the duck commanders.
We spent 3 weeks back at Lake Tawakoni.
I'm trying to learn more about trees, so I went to the Dallas Arboretum. Needless to say, it was beautiful.
And I enjoyed the Tyler Rose Gardens.
We took Aurora and Gabe to see the exotic cats, even though we have our own exotic critters in the park, like this copperhead I came across on the trail.
We also enjoyed the Cameron Park Zoo in Waco with Gabe and Aurora and Matt and Claire.
And I got to spend time with more family.
Lake Whitney is a huge reservoir, and the park has extensive hiking trails.
It also has the best fossil beds I've seen all year. I spent hours walking up and down dry creek beds, uncovering ancient fossils.
We enjoyed Whitney's Fall Festival.
We also visited the reconstruction of an important early Texas fort.
We spent most of October back at Lake Conroe, enjoying the scenery and the hiking.
This park was badly damaged in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. Many riverside sites were just washed away, but we still had deer in our front yard, beautiful trails to hike, and historic sites to visit.
We spent all of November here and celebrated Thanksgiving with Matt and Claire and the kids.
Here's where we were allowed to feed the deer, and they actually came and ate out of your hand.
Since we were so close to San Antonio, we had to visit the Alamo and take a boat ride along the famous river walk.
It was cold in December, and it snowed on us.
We zoomed west, spending one night in Fort Stockton.
And one night in El Paso, right under a freeway interchange.
Then 2 weeks in beautiful Benson, Arizona, southeast of Tucson. While we were there, we visited historic Tombstone, Cochise's stronghold,
and celebrated Christmas.
We began the new year in Apache Junction, Arizona, at the foot of the Superstition Mountain. I was sick most of the time.
And I hiked right up to the top of that peak in the middle of the screen. And here's a view from the top. And there's another hike to Weaver's Needle.
Salome, Arizona is in the middle of nowhere, but we loved it, especially the Iron Horse Bar and Grill, and our trip to Lake Havasu, the home of London Bridge.
We spent 6 weeks at Wilderness Lakes, a park with lots of birds and good hiking trails, though you have to watch where you step.
And family, Grandma and Lily made the train go woo-woo.
Here we were nestled in a deep canyon with no cell service or internet for a whole week. Oh, the humanity! But there was a skydiving school nearby, and I had to go watch people jump out of planes and glide to Earth.
Araby Acres was a pretty park.
With good hiking.
And interesting local history.
Fiesta Grande was pure Arizona desert.
With a civilized watering hole.
And the saguaro were in bloom. Then we sprinted back to Texas.
2 nights in Benson again.
1 night in New Mexico.
And back to Medina Lake just in time for Easter.
This is the park with the friendly deer, and now we have friendly turkeys. And our year's up. Bye-bye, turkeys.